My name is Roy Ketchum. I'm getting ready to go walk the Camino de Santiago, medieval pilgrimage route across northern Spain. In an original sense, I didn't have a motivation because it just happened. It just happened on my pathway. So I was flipping through this book here and...
Can you show me the book?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And well, there's a great line in here which I'm going to change a little bit, but sometimes you have to read a whole doctoral thesis just to formulate a good question. So in my case, I'd like to flip that around a little bit and say something about how sometimes you have to write a whole doctoral thesis in order to, well, maybe to formulate a good question, or, I mean, coming up with a title, like, you know, for me, my dissertation that I just finished, the gem of the whole thing is the title. If I could have just had the title, I wouldn't have had to write it. But I didn't get the title until I was finished. Do you want to know what that has to do with serendipity? So I just taught a class where we made use of Jean Paul Lederach's Spanish language version of the moral imagination. And in that class, so I've been reading and rereading the book, and I think really it comes down to serendipity being the sort of core element of the book for me, and it's all about trying to cultivate moments of serendipity, which seems a little bit paradoxical because serendipity is the thing that happens on your pathway. But I think what he's doing is he's trying to encourage us to think of ways to look through different lenses to allow for moments of serendipity. He talks about how rational understanding, of course we need rational understanding. Rational understanding is an important element of human affairs, but it doesn't do everything. And sometimes we find that rational understanding is the part of human experience that has the most desire to control other things, right? And so maybe in a sense it's to give balance to rational understanding. It's important that we cultivate artistic practices. I'm doing a spot translation of the Spanish language version of Jean Paul Lederach's Moral Imagination. The artistic process cannot be understood as something that has primarily to do with the head. Intellectual reason, it's just one part of human experience. But sometimes we find that it's the element that has the most desire to control others. The artistic process is something that erupts or emerges beyond what can be understood rationally. But later, we can come back to that experience, we can analyze it, think it more deeply, and give it some kind of significance. So there's this kind of dynamic interplay between rational understanding and artistic process. I don't know if that's what other people think, but for me, that's what this whole book, The Moral Imagination, is doing. It's the through line of it is that line between rational understanding or the use of analytical skills and the cultivation of artistic practices. And it's, I mean, as he's speaking to peace builders, Jean Paul Lederach is saying, like, yeah, we peace builders have, he's telling his colleagues, you and I, we've all cultivated these analytical tools. We think about that we need to develop structures and forms for peace building, which it's necessary. But the stories that he tells in there, when he asks people, what was the thing that made the change in a community or in a nation where there's generational cycles of violence. What's the thing that shifted people's approach to the other? They never answer it's because there was this structure. They answer because there was something unexpected that happened in that moment, right? And that's the way he uses the examples throughout the whole book, where those moments of the emergence of the unexpected is what provoked a change in somebody's vision, and provoked a change in somebody's heart, so that they looked at the other in a different way, and that's what cut through the cycle of violence and produced a new direction. So for me, that's what the whole book is doing. It's trying to walk the line between the use of the analytical skills and the cultivation of the artistic practices, and it wouldn't be appropriate to think of one without the other. And for me, it's the dynamic interplay between rational understanding and artistic process as a kind of approach to cultivate the emergence of the unexpected, serendipitous.